What's up YouTube? KM888 here, and I'm back with my test videos. Sorry I was away for a little while. I was pretty sick. It's not fun at all. Having a fever and all, you really don't want to film. But yeah, I'm here with some test videos. First things first, before I start the video, I actually want to shout out a guy I know, Douglas Brown. He went to to a regional in Oklahoma with my deck list. He didn't change anything about the main and the extra, just a little few things on the side to tailor his region, of course. But he took my deck list there and he went top 4, and actually with the same amount of points that the first player had, like the first place player. So for all I care, he went 7-1, 8 rounds, was awesome, good job bro. And yeah, it just proves that this deck really works. It's not a fluke, because a lot of Pendulum players have been topping recently with this kind of list. So it's definitely fun to use, and it's also important to find out how you're going to use it. There are multiple kind of combos to get your Kali Yuga play, but it's important to see against what matchups you do whichever combo. And that's actually really important. I'm going to try and explain it throughout the video. But there are also going to be a lot of test hands, like a couple of videos every day again, and we're just gonna go from there. Now, before I do some test hands right here, I'm going to show you guys a small 2-card combo, just like I did with the Azathoth. I'm going to show it with Pendulum Call and a Dark Worm. It's the smallest amount of cards in Pendulum we can do a huge amount of plays with, and it's actually the easiest to just showcase it with these 2 cards. So that's why I always pick these 2. I know it's only a 10% chance that you'll see it in your opening hand, but this is the best way to showcase like any combo, because this is eventually what you want to have in your opening hand anyway. So, and if you have 5 or 6 cards, depending if you're going first or second, it just only adds to the amount of chance you're having this. Now, the only thing you need for this combo to work is that you have one other monster, either in your opening hand or from the draw of Electromite. So it's actually a 2.5 card combo, but it facilitates itself because you're going to draw from Electromite, and the chances of drawing a monster is just so insanely large. It's crazy. So yeah, I'm just going to pick one of the worst monsters to have in this combo. Again, the Wisdom Eye, because Wisdom Eye is a light monster. It doesn't attribute well with the Rusty Bardish play, and because you have Pendulum Call, you're not going to use Wisdom Eye as a magician to use its effect. So I'm going to say that I'm going to draw a Wisdom Eye from the Electromite's effect. So that's the only thing I'm going to establish during this entire combo. So, first things first, Pendulum Call the Dark Worm away, and you're going to search Harmonizing Magician and Oath Dragon. Of course, like you all know, combos do become different when you have a lot of cards in your hand. So only having these 2 is actually kind of sad, but the combos are changing up, of course, if you have other cards in your hand. Special Summon the Dark Worm uses effect adding the Gate. Now, the Gate is one of the most important cards in the deck right now, because you use it so much to make your Kali Yuga play live. It's just crazy. Normal Harmonizing, make your Electromite. It's pretty standard. I like to make my first Electromite on the left side because, well, it's easier. Electromite's effect. And you're going to send Dragon Pit Magician. Well, let's see where he is. Now, the reason I'm sending Dragon Pit Magician over Black Fang right here is because it is a normal monster, and this is like the only card, the only monster in the entire deck that you don't want to see for the Electromite draw, because it's a normal monster, so you can't make Underclock with it, and it's a water monster, so you can't make Rusty Bardish with it. So this would be the only card in your entire deck that would make the combo dead. But like, you search it out anyway with the Electromite, so it doesn't really mind. You really don't care. You're gonna pop with the Electromite, you're gonna get back the Dragon Pit, and then you're gonna draw. And as I said, we're going to draw the Wisdom Eye. This can be anything, like as long as it's Pendulum as long as you can Pendulum Summon it, it's okay. Like, you don't even care that you draw Master Cerberus, because you can use Master Cerberus to get a Jackal King or a Basilisk, and that way you have something else that you can Pendulum Summon. So, yeah. Using Oath and Dragon Pit in the scales, you're gonna get Harmonizing back to your hand with the Oath Dragon. And now you're going to Pendulum Summon. So, the way I like to do it is I'm always trying to Pendulum Summon the level 7 from the extra deck in the middle zone, in the middle main monster zone. The reason is because you want to make Absolute Dragon right here. Also, you want your other level 7, wherever it is. If you had the level 7 in hand, you want to summon it underneath the Electromite. But if you don't have it in your hand, you're going to special summon it from the deck with the Harmonizing, like I'm going to do right here. So Jankei's coming out. You want your other level 7 to be underneath the Electromite, because you need that space open for where Underclock Taker is going to point to. So at this point, overlay. And you're going to make Absolute Dragon. Now, Absolute Dragon together with Wisdom Eye is going to make Underclock Taker. And Absolute's effect is going to trigger, and you're going to summon the Odd-Eyes Raging Dragon right in the middle. Of course, you can also summon Odd-Eyes Rebellion Dragon. It doesn't matter for the combo, but for me, there is an important difference to having Raging Dragon or Rebellion Dragon. There is actually a viable method in this deck to summon Odd-Eyes Raging Dragon. Like, if you have a Meteor Burst in the graveyard from any effect, you summon the Absolute, you attack with something, you can revive the Meteor Burst, and using the Jankei Magician in the scale, you can actually summon this, and it has a really cool effect. And as soon as it dies right then, you can just Pendulum Summon it from the extra deck, still giving you the rank up option. So if you need it, there is a viable way to use Raging Dragon. There isn't one for Rebellion, which is actually kind of sad. But yeah. Now I'm a bit digressing. So now you have this field, and you're gonna use the Harmonizing with the Underclock. You're gonna make the PK Rusty Bardish. Rusty Bardish's effect, you're going to send the Cloak. I'm going to fetch a small portion of the PK engine already. You're going to set the Phantom Knights of rank up Magic Launch by sending the Cloak. At this point, banish the Cloak for its effect, and you're going to search Phantom Knight of Silent Boots. Now, Silent Boots' effects allows it to special summon itself if you have a Phantom Knight monster on the field, which you have, the Rusty Bardish, and then you can just link summon the Electromite with the Silent Boots to make a Decode Talker. Now, Decode Talker is immensely important for this combo. The reason why is because the opponent won't be able to use things like Twin Twister, Pancratops, stuff like that, and that'll keep your rank up magic cards safe. Now, using the Silent Boots, you're going to banish it, and you're going to add the Phantom Knights of Shade Brigandine to your hand. It's the fourth member of the Phantom Knight engine that I run in my deck, because I think it's really easy to utilize to make another play further than this. Now, at this point, because you have it, you can set it, immediately activate it so it comes to the field, and now you have an amazing choice, because you know a Kali Yuga is gonna come to the board, so you can already negate all field effects. So what you can do here is you're going to overlay your Dark Room with the Shade Brigandine, and you're going to make Abyss Dweller. Now at that point, because you're going blind into a match, you don't know what the opponent is playing, you've locked them out the field effects with Kali Yuga, as soon as it would hit the board in the next turn, and you're also locking them out of grave effects. If they don't have anything to oppose this kind of play, you're going to win in like 80 to 90% of the cases. There are always exceptions, but this should give you one of the better opening fields that you actually want. Now, there are some downsides with this. If you look at the guy who topped YCS Chicago with this build, he always try to make Borreload Savage Dragon in before making the Rusty Bardish, just because people keeping their Ash Blossoms for the Rusty Bardish, so they couldn't use, they couldn't search out the rank up magic. Now, I feel that game 1 that doesn't really apply that much, because people won't be knowing which kind of deck you're playing. Like, they see Pendulum, but they don't know what kind of variant. And if they haven't ashed the Pendulum Call, and they're not going to ash the Harmonizing, no way in hell they're going to keep it for the Rusty Bardish. Like, you already have an established field. You could have made the Borreload Savage Dragon just as well in a normal hand. Like, in any normal hand, you're going to probably have another Magician, so you're going to be able to summon a Borreload Savage Dragon using the Harmonizing and the Magician. Like, here as well, you had the Wisdom Eye, so I could have just as well first went to Underclock, then to the PK Link, but the only problem that you have there in such a small hand is that I wouldn't have been able to make the Decode Talker at that point, or something else. Like, I would have always bounced on a problem because I only had 2 cards, so I would have needed an additional card for that. But there are like loads of ways to make Borreload Savage Dragon before you do this, and just assure your play is safe. One more tip I'm going to give people, that after siding, I don't know how many people actually know, but I always go for this field in game 1, because I really think this is the better board to make. After game 1, if I'm going first, I side in Outer Entity Azathoth as well, just because people are actually siding Kaijus for this. The thing that you can do is, instead of going for Abyss Dweller, because, well, Abyss Dweller is just Dweller, and if you know that their deck doesn't run anything that Abyss Dweller stops, instead of going for Abyss Dweller, you can just go for the Time Thief Redoer, right here. Already use its effect, so by detaching the Dark Worm, so this thing will banish it until the end phase, and then it will return. And even if they have a Kaiju right here, they still have to make a choice whether to be done in by Outer Entity Azathoth or by Kali Yuga. So they can only Kaiju 1, so they're still in trouble then. Fun thing for them, they can actually Lava Golem this. They can also Sphere Mode this, because I have Decode Talker, I have the Rusty Bardish, but like in game 1 it doesn't really matter at all. Like, not everyone is main decking those. And at game 3, technically you shouldn't come to game 3. Like, game 1 you should, like the first game you're going first, you should always win using this, because it's not seen in your deck. Like, if you went second, you're just going to OTK. So that's the thing if you go second in game 1. Technically you should win by game 2 and you shouldn't go into game 3, but this is definitely the most viable option to be playing with the deck. Just because of things like Kaijus, you can actually let them have the choice. Do I want to get locked out of entire monster effects, or do I want to get locked out of effects on the field? So, and you can always make it because you have a free zone next to the Rusty, so don't have to worry about that at all. I think that's enough for the combo. Now at this point I'm going to do some test hands. So yeah. Let's get into those. Definitely going to do one, maybe a second, I don't know, depends on the time. I really don't want my videos to be longer than half an hour. And since we're already 15 minutes in, it's probably going to be only one. Just like the old days, my deck's at 42, so I shuffle in piles of 7. I feel the deck actually really works well. It's streamlined, it's consistent, it's really good. You can go for a lot of different ways in the combo, and it's actually kind of fun. So, Duelist Alliance, Janky Magician, Boots, Pendulum Call, and Time Gazer. As you see, not that great of a hand. We don't have a starter, which actually sucks. But yeah, we're going to try and make the best of it. At least try and make the Kali Yuga. So this could be a really fast one, but let's see. So we're going to use Pendulum Call, we're going to ditch the Boots, and we're going to add a Harmonizing and an Oath Dragon. At this point I just want an additional monster, so I'm going to banish the Boots. And I'm going to search the Cloak. Just because the fact Cloak is... the Cloak can search the rank up magic on its own, so it's just an additional monster in this hand. And you still got a plus out of it, so... it could still work out because of that. At this point I'm going to set my scales with the Time Gazer, the Oath Dragon, and I'm going to Pendulum Summon these 3. I'm going to use Harmonizing's effect, and I'm just going to summon another level 7. Now the reason I'm going for the 7 is just because the fact I want to make my Kali Yuga play, so Dragon Pit is going to have to come out. And as you saw, like, this hand was terrible. It was really terrible. So yeah. We're going to overlay into Absolute. I think I used Pendulum Call. I couldn't have gone for Electromite, so yeah. I'm going to link away. I'm going to link for 2 or for 3. Let's see. The Decode Talker would be nice, so I'm going to link away with 3. And I'm going to go straight into Decode Talker. Now at this point the Absolute will trigger, and you'll be able to summon the Raging Dragon. Using the Cloak's effect. Adding rank up magic launch. And then you might be thinking, but the Decode Talker is not going to do anything. Well, you're going to use the Oath effect, and we're just going to normal summon the Harmonizing Magician right here, because at this point this thing is going to make sure that your rank up magic isn't going to be able to be Twin Twisted. So you're going to set it. And it's all fine actually. You have the Duelist Alliance, which you can already activate just in case you draw another one next turn, which would be terrible. But shit like that does happen, so yeah. But as you saw, we had a couple of really dead cards in our hand. And we still made the Kali Yuga play, even though we only have a Decode Talker protecting it. This kind of play still gives you wins in a whole lot of situations, which is amazing still, so yeah. But yeah, with this kind of crap hand, we still ended up with the Kali Yuga play. In the main phase, if the opponent didn't get around it, you can just go launch, overlay it with the Kali Yuga. And then of course, because you have used Pendulum Call, you can use its effect, detaching, blowing up all spells and traps, and these two won't be destroyed because of Pendulum Call, so you're practically safe against a whole bunch of decks, so at least that's great. This was a short one because, well, stupid hand is stupid. So we can actually do another combo, I think. I have 10 minutes then, but come on, no pain, no gain. I'm going to power shuffle real fast. That's like another piece of advice, always power shuffle. I feel that if I don't power shuffle, all the Phantom Knight cards are going to clock together because you search them out with the Rusty Bardish one after the other. So at that point when you put them in the deck, they're all next to each other, and if you regular shuffle, there's like a big chance they're still together, and then if you draw one, you just see them all. Of course, if you don't draw one, you don't see them all, and that's also something valid, but really though, just power shuffle. It's better to see one than have a chance to open four. For our second hand, we have a Jackal King, Chronograph, Dragon Pit, Duelist Alliance, and Foolish Burial. Now this hand is a lot better than the one we had last time, and we're definitely going to use that as well. So, Foolish Burial, going to send the Dark Worm. Dark Worm's effect, special summon it, and get to your gate 0. Personally, I don't really like putting the Chronograph Sorcerer in the scale to use it for the Time Gazer, because I really like using it after a Pendulum Summon, just as a means to get a Time Gazer out on top of your Pendulum field. So what I'm going to do is I'm already going to set the scale that I'm going to try and pop with Electromite, so I can just activate the Duelist Alliance. So at this point, I'm going to get the Pendulum Call, and I'm going to use it. Now, as I said, I'm going to try, and the thing that I want to end with is a pendulum of harmonizing with something else, and having a Chronograph in my scale together with probably the Oath Dragon. So I'm definitely going to search the Oath Dragon here and the harmonizing. By getting rid of the Dragon Pit Magician. I don't really care about the Dragon Pit, so there's always that. Now at this point, normal summon the harmonizing. We're going to get it back with the Electromite anyway, and we're going to link it up. You know what? I'm going to take a small risk, and instead of discarding this, I'm going to discard the Jackal King. It's a small risk, but I'm going to take it. It will promote something better if it gets off. Gonna go with Electromite. Gonna use its effect. I'm gonna look in the extra deck. I'm going to have the Dark Worm. I'm going to have the Gate 0. This is already fine. I don't actually need to use Electromite's effect. So on summon you could opt to not use it. It's definitely not necessary to use it. So you could say like, I don't do it, so yeah, not using it. Using the effect, popping the Gate 0, and getting the harmonizing back, and then drawing you a card. It seems we get another harmonizing magician. It's actually fine. So we're going to scale up Oath Dragon. We're going to scale up Chronograph Sorcerer. Now we're going to Pendulum Summon. We don't need the add from Oath Dragon before the Pendulum Summon because we already have our harmonizing and any other monster in our hand. Afterwards, we're going to use it to set up our hand for next turn already. So we're going to Pendulum Summon. And just like in the combo video, it's actually quite the same. So yeah. We're going to use Harmonizing's effect, and we're going to summon a Janke Magician. So at this point, overlay to absolute. And we're going to use it with a harmonizing. Going into underclock. And using the absolute effect to summon a raging. Raging Dragon is so cool, it's just awesome. At this point, using the Chronograph Sorcerer's effect, and I'm going to summon the Time Gazer. Now the reason I do that is so I don't really have to use my Harmonizing Magician to make the Underclock Taker. Now the one sad part is that I can't use Harmonizing Magician in anything else but a Synchro Summon and Exceed Summon for with other magicians. So it's actually a little bit sad on that regard, but yeah, you're gonna have to hate Harmonizing Magician because of that. So let's see what we can actually pull off right here. We already have done our normal summon. We already did Electromite's effect to send. Yeah, we're just gonna end up with an additional monster, so it's actually fine. Gonna make the PK Rusty Bardish. Dragon Pit Magician in scale, using the effect of the Oath Dragon, is going to add back the Harmonizing to our hand. This is actually fine, it's already a setup for next turn. Rusty Bardish's effect. Setting this, adding Cloak, sending Cloak. Cloak's effect, banishing it. Where can I put it that you guys can see it? I'm gonna put it over here, the banish pile. It's going to add a Silent Boots. Boots effect, special summon it. You know what? I'm going to do something different. Sorry guys. Instead of setting this one, I'm going to set the trap first. Then using Cloak, adding the boots. So first things first, I'm going to use the trap card so I can overlay it with the Dark Worm on this side of the field, already making the Dweller. Then special summoning the boots, using it with the Electromite, making a Decode Talker. Using Boots' effect, adding the rank up magic to our hand. Now the reason I did it like that is so the Dweller isn't going to be tributed by the Decode Talker, and you don't really care for Harmonizing and Rusty anyway, so that way you just have some additional fodder. We only had one additional card to make a foddering, but hey, we have the field, so it's good. Now the one thing I feel I could have done differently is if I had used the Electromite's effect to instead summon a Dark Worm on the Pendulum summon. I could have went for another Magician, and then I had a Borrowload Savage Dragon with the Harmonizing, but since I didn't do that, I couldn't make a Borrowload Savage Dragon, but I have Dweller instead, so... And Dweller is just as good in the combo, I feel. It's a better card, because Savage Dragon will lose its counters after the Kali Yuga hits the field. So at this point, when the main phase come and they don't do a thing, you can just again make a Kali Yuga. And as I pointed out, these are again protected by Pendulum Call, so you can just blow up the board without any fear of losing a thing. It's actually a fun thing to do, and I really love the combo, so I'm going to do some more test hands. Watch out for the next video. Ciao!